a strong populist appeal that sooner or later, somewhere, just may gain some purchase.
You know who also delivers that type of message?
Who?
Patrick J. Buchanan. Let's go to him right now and ask whether that lunch pail argument wins in the state of Florida. Also, Rachel Maddow with Air America and an MSNBC political contributor. Pat, how does it work in the state of Florida? Do you agree that Mike Huckabee, who lost tonight, may not be in bad shape in a year where momentum doesn't really seem to make a big difference?
I think your point earlier, Joe, was very well taken. First, I believe that Huckabee had the best speech tonight, or the better speech of those we saw down there in South Carolina. Secondly, Huckabee's problem, the reason he lost, is exactly what David Beasley said. First, Fred Thompson peeled him back in that debate, hammered him, as he's never been hammered in the entire campaign, knocked him on his heels, then chased him around the northwest part of South Carolina, competing with him for votes. He took all those Christian conservatives, evangelical conservatives, enough to give McCain the victory. Thompson, I believe, will be out of Florida, and I do think we really have a great four-way race here. I agree with what Howard said earlier. McCain emerges as the front runner, clearly, but I think that we're a long way. I mean, and if he wins, I think he'll really do well on February the 5th. But I think we're going to have another great contest down there in Florida, four-way battle.
Pat, I think that you're right that McCain looks like the front runner heading into Florida. Certainly the momentum feels that way, the number of races, the size of the races, it feels that way. But there's one thing about the Republican Party that I don't understand, and that is why have they hated John McCain so much all of these years? Why have they spent a lifetime tearing him down? When you look at some of, for example, there was 1 million robocalls that went out in South Carolina for this primary. The guy who was behind them was a guy who used to be the political director of the Republican Senatorial Committee in 2004. People from the very heart of the Republican Party establishment are still trying to tear down John McCain, not just in 2000, but in 2008. Why do they hate him so much, and can that change this year?
Well, I think they dislike John McCain because, look, he went against the President of the United States on taxes. Whatever he said, he came out for amnesty. He fought against the border. He fought against Proposition 200 out there. He put together the Gang of 14 to block conservative judges. They feel that he plays to the media constantly whenever they got everything on the line, and he splits the difference and wins the plaudits of the national media. He's going to have a hard time getting that back, but he is well positioned now because I think the only one that can go the long distance to beat him is Romney, and Romney does not come out of the conservative movement, but he's trying to put his feet into it.
I want to point something out, Pat. I think you hit on something really important here. You know, conservatives didn't mind when moderate Republicans and liberal Republicans would go against them in Congress and the Senate or the House. Right. But what they resented was when they would play to the editorial pages of the New York Times. And they would always try to be the one enlightened Republican in the House on an issue or in the Senate in the issue. I could name a few congressmen from Connecticut that always loved to do that. But John McCain always seemed to be doing that, whether it was on McCain-Feingold or whether it was on immigration. It was, yeah, I'm here with a bunch of barbarians behind me. I'm the one enlightened guy. Hey.
He scores off us constantly.
They're going to have to decide if that makes him electable in the general election, though. They're going to have to make that decision.
We'll be thinking about that, Rachel.
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, Ronald Reagan was not a guy that worried about what the editorial pages of the New York Times thought about him.
There's no Reagan in this race, I'll tell you that much.
Amen, sister. And all the Republicans said, amen. We'll be right back with a panel when we return. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Rachel.